And we're back with TSPN, and it is my great pleasure to have with us today Floyd Martin. Hi, Floyd. Hi,
Morning,
Floyd.
Richard.
Floyd's the Amador County Veteran Services Officer, and how many years you've been in the position, Floyd?
12 and a half years.
That's a pretty good chunk of time. But
yeah, and I appreciate the honor to serve our veterans.
Who was the first board that appointed you? Who was on them? Mario Biaggi?
Richard Vinson, Louis Boitano, Rich Escamilla, and Tom Bemmert.
All right. And they put their faith in you. Who was the Veteran Services Officer prior to that?
Jerry Tonic, and I can thank Jerry. I know he's back in New York now for, sitting on that board to review and backing me on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you've done a pretty good job as our Veteran Services Officer, but it helps that you enjoy your job too.
And that's basically where you stand with it. If you're doing it for another reason, you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's I don't know. I love what I do, and the honor and the privilege to be able to serve fellow veterans, it's no greater.
Now, you've been in this position for 12 and a half, but your prior military experience, what was that?
I was in the Air Force. I was Vietnam Air vet. I didn't go to Vietnam. They sent me to Thule, Greenland instead, radar sites, and at the time I said I'd rather be in Vietnam, but you know what? After doing all this work all these years, I'm fortunate I didn't go to Vietnam.
Yeah, because you see the impacts of Vietnam, what happened there on the soldiers that came back.
I see it daily. And, like I've told other people, I've cried with them and I've celebrated with them.
When they say war is hell, they're not kidding, huh?
And they're not making it up, and some of these veterans, and we can go back to World War II and Korea, all of them. There's just now, some of them are just now filing for their benefits that they're entitled to.
Mm-hmm. We have veterans in Amador County that go back to what, to World War II now?
World War II, yes. Uh-huh.
And fewer and fewer as the days go by. Don Vicini, we just lost him.
Yeah. And the sad thing it is we're losing an awful lot of our World War II vets right now. But, I'm looking at my age and Vietnam and Korea. We're losing a lot of those, too. Mm-hmm. And, we're proud to have an honor guard from the American Legion and I'm part of that, but when we do services, and when you look at that veteran that's younger than you are, it's kind of scary.
Yeah. Now, you see a lot of the veterans that are passing away, let's say prematurely, maybe not the World War II case, but prematurely for some of the other conflicts. Are they passing because of, sometimes because of injuries or the impacts of what they went through?
Oh, a good share of them are. Very, very much so. With the Agent Orange issues, it's just not diabetes, but it gets into hearts and everything else, heart condition and everything now. Some doctors disagree with the ischemic heart because they say that as you get older, you're going to have that hardening of the arteries, but it's been proven. A lot of these veterans had heart attacks when they were 40 years old and stuff, and it's related to Agent Orange.
Well, I know some of the veterans I know that came back from when they were in heavy conflicts like Vietnam, they went through an extended period of time of post-traumatic stress syndrome. That sure can't be healthy on your body.
No, it can't be. And the sad thing about it are young veterans coming back right now from Afghanistan, the ones that are back from Iraq. It seems like a good majority of those have PTSD issues too. So unless we get them the help, they're going to continue to have it, and some of them won't even claim it until many years down the line. Well,
I know your job is fighting to get them the help they need, but what do you see on the coming down from the national level? Is there support and an ongoing support to help our veterans, or are they cutting dollars at the national level?
Well, they haven't cut the dollars, but they're not getting the help the veterans need. They really, there's a sad situation when so many claims are coming in, they can't maintain the service to the veterans that need that help now.
Well, why though? Because if they're not cutting, there's just too many veterans, or?
Well, yeah, we got a lot of veterans, but they're not putting the people in place to take care of them. They can put all the dollars out there they want, but unless you hire someone that understands what that veteran went through and you start working his claim, the sad thing with our issue here, Amador County and all of Northern California, we work through the Oakland Regional Office, and it's a sad thing, but it's the worst regional office in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
So the backlog is unbelievable.
So how do we fix that?
More people. In
the office.
The government talks about hiring and cutting government, but at the same time, if we're going to do it right, let's get some people in there that know what they're doing and work these claims for the veterans.
So one of your jobs, and I know I've seen pictures of you and Al Lennox back in Washington, and that's one of your jobs when you go back, isn't it, to advocate for veterans issues?
We do it all the time, you know, whether it's going back there or on the phone. I've had a congressman sit right in my office, and we discussed it for 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. Did we agree on everything? Absolutely not. Mm-hmm. But, you know, that's what we're going to fight for is our veterans.
Unfortunately, though, that's all the time the congressmen have sometimes is 15 minutes, and you sure can't solve the problems of the world with that.
You're not going to resolve it, but, you know, I'm hoping that they'll look at it and see what we're going through.
The veterans, if there's veterans out there that need help, what do they got to do? Just pick the phone up and call you?
Pick the phone up, and we'll try and take care of it as best as possible. You know, the frustration sometimes with the VA, but, you know, that doesn't matter. We will do our best to make sure we get the help that they need.
Now, you're going to be departing here at close to the end of the year. I think it's, what is it, the 28th?
December 28th.
28th, so my wife's birthday, too. So.
Wow, happy birthday and happy retirement.
Happy retirement. But prior to you departing, we're going to be selecting a new Veteran Services Officer, and I know you want somebody in there that has computer skills, and they're going to absolutely need those skills based on the new requirements, right?
Yes, they are, and it's going to be someone that needs to be able to sit right there and look at that veteran's file from this office, from Amador County. Don't go through Oakland, don't go through the national organization. Be able to look at those files. That's the type of person I want to see.
Mm-hmm. And anybody that comes in, sure, we want somebody, you're going to be part of that selection process. We want somebody that cares about veterans. If we can hire them locally, I guess that would be an added bonus, but there's a lot of veterans out there that have the skills and the interest. So when we make that selection, what are you looking for?
Well, I'm looking for someone that cares, basically, totally cares about veterans. I don't want them to worry about what the income is, you know, what kind of wages they're going to make, or, you know, insurance. The main thing, I want to help a veteran.
A passion for veterans, just like you have.
I would hope so.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on our break now. That we're going to talk about Veterans Day celebration coming up a little bit, and maybe a little bit more about your history in the office. So just stick with us for another couple minutes. And right now, we're going to go to a break. We'll be right back with more Talking to Floyd.
You're watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN.
And we're back with TSPN. Floyd, Veteran Services Officer Floyd, you know, we're only going to be able to say that for a little bit longer here.
Yeah, I think it's 50 days in a wake-up, really.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But that countdown's got to be somewhat melancholy for you, too.
It is. It's going to be a hard position to leave. I mean, it's been, like I said, it's been an honor and a privilege to serve. And, yeah, it's going to be tough, but I know I want to do it. I've told my wife I wanted to do it. I was going to go a little bit past January or February or somewhere. But, you know, it all come down to, hey, you need to do it now.
Yeah. You got to get some time for yourself out there and take the wife on a trip, huh?
That's what I want to do. I really do. My wife and I, you know, we're involved. She's just as much involved with trying to help the veterans and so forth, too. And, you know, between the American Legion and our travels and everything else, we want to take a little time for ourselves.
Okay. I got to ask you on the Veteran Services Officer position, when you get some cases that come in that are difficult to resolve, does it get very frustrating, or are you able to work through most issues?
You can usually work through them, but the frustration comes from trying to deal with the VA and the backlog. And you know, when you get, you know you've done it right, and that someone sitting down there at the VA rejects it for some reason and says, hey, you know, and you know better. I mean, the frustration really comes on there, and you wind up in those appeal situations. And, you know, I shoot a couple numbers at you. Just last week, because I was talking to the regional office, we've got 5,200 claims that go back to 2009 that are in appeals.
5,200.
5,200. This is Oakland office only.
Wow.
And if you look at this is really what shocks you. Right now, all new claims are going to Oakland, but they're shipping them out to Muskogee, Oklahoma, Lincoln, Nebraska, because Oakland's not doing any new claims and kind of the backlog. This number is true. 17,282 claims as of last week that are brand new that are over a year old that they have not even looked at yet.
This is nationwide?
This is Oakland.
Oakland alone.
17,282 claims that have not even been opened yet to look at.
So that just shows that people need to advocate very strongly for our veterans and our veterans issues. How many veterans do we have in Amador County?
We got roughly, the estimate is 4,200 veterans.
And kind of percentage-wise, is that most like other counties?
Well, in our smaller counties, I think Calaveras has got 5,400 is the estimate, so they're a little larger than we are.
But they're a lot bigger county,
Right,
too.
and El Dorado's probably got about 14,000 to 15.
Mm-hmm.
For the size, we've got a good-sized veteran population here.
And you're one man handling 4,200. El Dorado County, I think, has veterans advocates that work with the veteran services officer.
Yeah, I think their office is about 4 personnel over there.
Yeah.
Tuolumne, it's the same thing, about 4.
Whoever takes your job better realize that, too. They're a one-person shop.
But I think they'll enjoy it if they do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they'll love it.
Well, I know the other day in our administrative committee meeting, you advocated for 40 hours, and that's what we're going to recommend because one thing, we want the person there to have the time to commit to the veterans.
Oh, I thank the board for that because I'm going to tell you, if we can't do the right thing for our veterans and their dependents, we've got a problem.
We got a big problem because those people have gone off and left their families, and a lot of them have given up a lot personally, mentally, physically, but we've had some that have lost their lives too, so we need to support our veterans and their families.
Many have lost their lives, and like you said, the ones that, I see it daily. I mean, some of them come back. Our young folks right now, I've sat down and talked to them, and they want help, but they're afraid of the help. Mm-hmm. They don't want to go to the VA. They don't want to talk to everybody. They want someone that understands where they're coming from,
right?
That have been through it and stuff. Like I said, I've sat there and cried with them because you get involved in it. You hear so many things, and you can see it.
You're like a doctor in some cases. You don't want to get too personally involved with your patients, huh?
Well, you have to. You get personally involved, but at the same time, I've told my wife, I said, you know what? I've gone home and dreamt about some of these issues that some of these veterans have gone through, and I try not to, but at the same time, you get that involved with it. You want to get them the help, but once it leaves this county, it's into someone else's hands.
Right. We have Veterans Day coming up on Sunday, November 11th. We have Veterans Day Parade in Jackson, and I know you always participate in those. What does Veterans Day mean to you? Is it some people it's just a holiday? Monday will be a holiday this year, but
yeah, I realize that some people it's just a holiday, but I think the veterans look at it, personally, it comes right from here. It's our day. I mean, it's our day to say thank you to each other. It's not about a holiday. It's a Veterans Day. It's our day. It's our government supposedly telling us thank you.
So the parade will be in Jackson, I think, that morning, and there'll be some other activities that day too, won't there?
Yeah, we'll do the parade here in Jackson at 10 a.m. and afterwards, the American Legion, the American Legion Auxiliary is inviting all of those folks that participate, whether they are a veteran or non-veteran, up to the American Legion Hall. Ladies will be doing a luncheon up there. It's free to everybody that wants to come up and say thank you to a veteran. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's just saying, hey, thanks, vets, and that's where we're coming from.
Yeah, I know we only have one veteran on our board, Ted Novelli, and thank him for his service, but all of us have family members. I know my dad served in the Seabees, and I have a nephew right now that's in the Marines. So all of us have a connection to the military, but the bigger connection is nationwide, is what our veterans have done to help keep our country free. And if people don't look back at some of these conflicts, especially World War II and World War I, then there's some mental issues with those folks.
Well, if you stop and think about it, we better thank our World War II vets while we got a chance to, because that's what gave us our freedom right now.
That's right.
Those folks went through a lot more than the rest of us ever did.
Yeah, we have some pictures over at our county building with Don Vicini sitting cleaning his rifle, and we have John Begovich there with his foot on Mussolini's picture. So it kind of gives you a quick glimpse of what they went through.
Yeah, and you're talking about that. I've got some pictures that my dad brought back. Him and Begovich served together over there. They didn't know each other, But when you're talking about Mussolini and everything, do you realize they hung him off in the city square?
Yeah.
My dad's got pictures. Well, he's gone too, but of when Mussolini and his girlfriend and some of his counterparts, and they hung them by their feet.
Yeah.
And I've got those pictures. It's a little gruesome, but that's what the veterans, they took those things.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about some of the funny parts, but there were a lot of horrific parts of the war, and if it weren't for a few lucky moments in the war, we may be speaking a different language today.
That's very correct. And our veterans here today in Amador County, well, I can't thank all the veterans enough, but the ones here in Amador County, God bless them.
Yeah. Floyd Martin, our Veteran Services Officer for about another 50 days. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Joining me. It's an honor to serve with you in the county.
It's been my pleasure and my honor.
All right. And with that, that's all we have for TSPN.